Hey everybody. Good to see all of you. It is January 10th, 2022. It's a Tuesday. It is 8:55 p.m. Eastern Time here in New York. Now, we have a couple things to talk about tonight. Pretty flat on Wall Street, but then again, all the major indices did finish in the green. But notice the emerging markets. Now, we've been talking about this trend for quite some time here on Walks on Wall Street. And if you look at any of the emerging market ETFs, specifically EEM and VWO, they're trading near their 52-week highs, or at least getting closer to that, both of which are breaking above their 50-day and 200-day moving averages. And today, a lot of the American, or I should say the Chinese ADRs, perform rather well, perform really, really well. Take a look at Alibaba. Did anybody notice the price action there? I think we were up like 5 points on the day, almost 4%. That stock is now trading well above its 50 and 200 day. We've been watching this China trend play out. If you look at JD.com, another big China name, I think that was up fractionally as well. Baidu is another one, BIDU. Is another China name that performed pretty well today. And all of these stocks are breaking quite significantly off the bottom from the lows in good volume. So maybe we'll touch a little bit on emerging markets tonight. But, you know, as I was about to do the stream, I got a notification on my phone from the Wall Street Journal. And it looks like Wells Fargo. And it's so funny because we were talking about this yesterday as it relates to the housing market, mortgage market. And I said that this Q4 earnings season, I think Wells Fargo may take it on the chin a little bit because of where interest rates have gone, right? And Wells Fargo has been a number one player in home mortgages. And now it looks like they're stepping out of that business completely, which is very, very interesting to see. So we'll talk about Wells Fargo leaving the mortgage market. We're going to talk about the Federal Reserve. We heard from Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. He talked about price stability, and he talked about, well, let's save that a little bit later because it's interesting what he said. Did anybody listen to that speech? I don't want to spoil it. I'll let some people get in here. Anyway, 10-year U.S. Treasury yield actually came down a little bit today, 3.596%. Take a look at the VIX, the CBOE volatility index down 6% today. That's significant. That's a big move. Trading around 2058. All right, news in layoffs, okay? Coinbase is laying off about 20% of their employees. Layoffs are horrible. It's not like I'm cheering this on, but we've been talking about Coinbase quite some time on the stream. So Coinbase is laying off 20% of their employees. That translates to roughly about 950 employees. We're also going to talk about gold too, so stick around for that. Dixie lower, trading at 103. I mean, the dollar index, let's just actually look at this right now for a minute. Okay, the US dollar currency index, we have smashed well below the 50, and now we are living well below the 200-day. We have traded below the 200-day moving average now for, looks like, over 20 trading days. That's significant. So I think we're going to see a pretty big paradigm shift there. And I think that's why metals are ripping. Look at gold and silver. And guys, we actually had a little bit of a bid today in Bitcoin. Still trading well below the 50, or excuse me, just breaking above the 50 today. If you want to look at the 200-day moving average on Bitcoin, you're looking at about 19.5. All right, let me close the laptop and we will get started on the stream. I hope everybody had a great Tuesday. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Walks on Wall Street. I see Julia M. I see Mac Lover. Thank you so much. I see Mel, Liz. What's up? Bree Grams, Richard Vogel. Good to see everybody. Matthew M. is here. Fun Feeds. Welcome, welcome. Let us close up the laptop. put away my stuff. And let's head out tonight. You know, I think we may go to the East Village. Or Greenwich Village, I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll get it done. Let me just push in the chairs here so they don't get all bent out of shape for tomorrow. Hey, I see Nina is here. Good to see you, Nina. Richard Vogel. Now, before we start, this is exactly what I want in my house. A bookshelf just like this. What do you guys think? Anyway, well, we got a long elevator ride down, and I think we may cut out here. So I will see you guys on the ground floor, whenever that may be. Hawaii is here. What's up? Good to see you. Gigi NYC. Thanks, guys. Chris Beeman is here. Steph UH. Isn't it nice? Road Dog is here. What's up? That's exactly what I want to build in my house. A wall-to-wall library. Hold on, these elevators barely make any noise, so I never know when they're coming. All right, here we are. I'll see you guys on the ground floor. It's a cold one tonight. I got to put up my dog. Have a good night, man. We are now ground floor. We are standing on the corner of 34th Street and 5th Avenue. Now, I think we're going to walk downtown today. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a lap around Koreatown first, but we will head to Greenwich Village. Good to see you. Hey, Wendy England says you can get them at IKEA. You know, I got to look into it because my house right now is pretty bare. It's pretty barren, and what I want to do is, instead of like hanging pictures on the wall, I want to have a wall-to-wall built-in bookshelf. I think that would look kind of cool for like the library. And look, I think, you know, we've been talking about this too. I think we're going to get a lot of good deals. I think if you go on a website like Wayfair, probably IKEA too. I mean, IKEA always has pretty good deals. But, you know, we've been having this ridiculous slowdown in the housing market due to the Federal Reserve raising interest rates. We're going to talk about the housing market tonight because Wells Fargo is totally getting out of the mortgage business. They're only going to focus on existing customers and, to use their words, customers in minority communities. So as we've had this huge drop in existing home sales and in new home sales, well, I mean, sort of put two and two together. This is the Empire State Building here, right on the corner of 5th Avenue. You know, if people aren't buying homes, people aren't spending money buying furniture to furnish their homes. So I think we're going to get a lot of interesting discounts here. So we'll see. Road Dog is here. What's up, Road Dog? Good to see you. Nina, welcome. Nicholas Duras says, Tom, I feel like 5G is such a ripoff. I was connected to a 5G tower and was still buffering. All right. Liz, what's up? Yeah, we usually buffer in the elevator. Now, this is the corner of 5th Avenue and 34th Street. It's cold tonight, guys. I'm shivering. So I got a quick story about this Starbucks. So I was doing some impromptu market research here, and I was working out of the WeWork here, and it was a very, very, I would say, conference call intensive day. I think we've all had those before. So I'm like, you know what? I always talk about this place on the live stream, this Starbucks Reserve store. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go in and see what it's all about. Now, we've been talking about the stock, ticker symbol SBUX. We did a deep dive into sort of the new org structure at Starbucks. Obviously, Howard Schultz is back in the driver's seat, but he's doing about a year mentorship program with the new CEO. I think he comes from KPMG. We talked about him. I'm very optimistic on that. But the stock has been performing very well. It's actually trading near 52-week highs and near all-time record highs. I think the stock was positive on the day, but anyway, so I went in here, the Starbucks Reserve store, just to sort of check it out, sort of be a little bit of an impromptu Peter Lynch, so to speak. And the place is really, really incredible. Now, it's almost like it's not even like a coffee shop. It's almost like a very nice restaurant. Now, if you go all the way here in the back, they not only have coffees, but they have pastries, they have sandwiches, they have full-on dinners you could order. And if you actually walk up the stairs in the back here, it'll take you all the way up to the bar. Let me see if I can give you guys a sneak peek. See, it's his restaurant and bar on the second floor. And the place is insane. So long story short, and this is, just a quick funny story here. So I just get a coffee, regular coffee. I asked the lady, very nice people in there, by the way. Extremely nice, very welcoming, very inviting. Because I guess it's a special store, one of the reserves. So I go in there, the place is packed. This is about 4:30 in the afternoon on a Tuesday in January, okay? Think about that. So on a Tuesday in January when it's freezing, all the tourists are pretty much gone from the city. As you could tell, this is 34th Street and pretty much not a soul on the street. The place was absolutely packed. And does anybody want to guess? Actually, this will be fun. Does anybody want to guess how much I paid for a medium coffee? It was just a regular medium coffee with half and half, but it was the Empire State Building roast that they had that day. Does anybody want to guess? Meld says $6, Dallas F says 12, Shauno says 12. You guys are close. Not quite. I'm going to wait till somebody gets it because I think you guys are going to nail it here in a minute. Ryan Beck says $8. Ooh, close. The MST Group, you nailed it, $7.80. That's very strange. Maybe you've been there before. So BMST Group nailed it. Guys, $7.80 with the tax for a coffee there. Now, granted, this isn't a normal Starbucks, right? It's one of those reserves. Now, was the coffee good? Yeah, it was. It definitely was. But you're obviously paying for the experience. So, doing a little bit of impromptu market research, I was very keen on listening to everybody else's order ahead of me. Guys, the bills were coming to $68, $70. The highest amount that I heard, granted they were with a big family, was $212. Now that is, we've been talking about Howard Schultz. Talk about a genius to be able to build such a hardcore brand, right? I think we could all agree, if you've ever read one of Howard Schultz's books, it's all about the branding, it's all about the experience, it's all about the environment. And I was like, if they can command, almost $8 for a medium coffee in this environment, right, on a Tuesday in January, when all the tourists are pretty much gone, I'm like, that's, something I want to own. So I did something kind of funny. I logged into one of my retirement accounts, and not as like a quick trade or something. I'm like, I'm just gonna, buy, a couple shares of the stock, hold it in my IRA, and maybe just give it to the kids, and tell them a little bit of a story about it. But isn't that nuts? That's crazy, isn't it? Almost $8 for a medium coffee. Kind of crazy. B&B 420s is my local. Medium is $3.10. Yeah, that sounds more like it, right? But I guess these reserve stores are a little bit different. All right, we are standing on the corner of Herald Square. You can see the very famous Macy's here. Mac Lovers is a venti in my neck of the woods is $3.43. Michael Joseph, no, not yet. Maybe 10 years down the road. Hey, Jack Spencer is here. Says, good evening, Tom from Tennessee. Good to see you. TC says the question is how long will it continue? That's a good point. But to TC's point, hey, the Papa Smurf OG, what's up, man? Papa Smurf OG, FDNY, love that. Says I'm happy with my Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Yeah, I mean, and it's really a lesson. It's an important lesson about branding, right? I think brand is, I would say, 90% of the product. Would we disagree there? Maybe that's a little bit too high. But I mean, really think about that. I mean, branding, product placement is probably, I'm going to say 80 to 90% of the entire product. And if you read any of Howard Schultz's books, one of the things that really stood out to me is he said he wants to create, at the time, this is pre-COVID, right? So he said our vision, or my vision with Starbucks, was to create the third stop, right? So number one, you're at home. Number two, you go to work. And he wanted to revolutionize and create a third place, which is Starbucks, a place where people can come, they can collaborate, they can get work done, they can do business meetings. And that is like sitting in a very nice restaurant, that particular location. So I think they did a really good job on branding. Nina says, I agree, Tom, it's all marketing. I would agree there. Hey, Juan Carlos, what's up? Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for being here. Line Sing says, Tom, if there are people willing to pay it, there will be people happy to charge it. Like so much else. That is very true. That is very true. Ratfink is here, says hello. What's up? Toby Sanchez says, hey, Tom, happy Tuesday. Dan Zhang says, Tom, I think 7-Eleven also has good branding when it comes to its coffee. I think so too. 7-Eleven is a very good brand. But I think Starbucks has done a good job of, I think about it like this. And I took sort of like a marketing class in college, like as an elective. And one of the ways that the professor explained it to us was, think about, this is perfect, like a Mercedes-Benz, right? Now, there's tons of vehicles out there that do pretty much the same thing as a Mercedes, but many people will buy or be attracted to that particular vehicle because of the logo, right? And I think it may be the same thing with a product like Starbucks, right? Because how different is a cup of coffee from another store than it is to Starbucks? I don't think I could really tell the difference. I think sometimes I could, but I don't know if it's worth like a $6 to $8 difference. I mean, think about the profit margins on that. That is wild. Hey, LL. This is a home away from home. Tom, I am former 10-year partner. What's up? Good to see you. Michael Joseph says when they put them in Barnes & Nobles, that was big. You're correct. Yeah, in almost every single Barnes & Nobles I've been to, there's like a cafe there as well. Very interesting. Dan Zhang says, so true, Tom. Maserati is probably one of the most overrated car brands, but people still buy it for the logo. Yeah, it's, if you know how to brand a product, I think you'll probably always have a job. I think if you get really good at marketing, sales and marketing, number one is you'll probably always have employment. You'll probably always do well. Now, this always, not to sort of ramble on this topic as we walk through Koreatown, but I think it's important. I always think of that Mark Cuban interview where he talks about the importance of sales and marketing. And he says, without sales, there's no business, right? Which is so true. You could focus on the product as much as possible. You can make it the best in the world. But if nobody knows about it, nobody's going to use it. So I think you really, really have to have a very good sales and marketing team, especially in an environment that we're going through now, right? An economic downturn. You need to be able to market your products. Jonathan France, what's up? Good to see you, my friend. Vivian Francesca. Good to see you, Vivian. Thanks so much for joining. Yeah, so after that, so I walked out of the store. The last thing I'll say about it is I walked out and I couldn't believe the amount of people, like the volume of people there, the amount of money spent there. And I was just calculating all the margins, right? I mean, if a regular cup of coffee probably costs them, 50 cents to make, they're charging $8. I mean, the margins there are just ridiculous. And a bull thesis there is China is reopening. You can see a little bit of the top of the Empire State Building. But if China is really reopening, that is one of Starbucks' most lucrative markets, fastest growing markets. So just as a little, not, I would say, in my long short portfolio that I actively manage, but just for fun, I'm like, I'm gonna buy some stock here in my retirement account and just reinvest the dividends forever, and then maybe give it to the kids one day in 40 years and tell them the story about branding. Hey, Road Dog, what's up? Good to see you, my friend. John says modern marketing is genius. Weather, clothes, cars, or whatever. People pay for the name recognition and the brand. You're right. It's wild. You know what? So really quick, another example. Now, I've never been to this restaurant, but is anybody? I'm sure you've all heard of the steakhouse, like the very, very famous steakhouse by that guy, the salt guy. That sprinkles the salt on everything. Now, I've actually read some reviews on that restaurant, and people say it's just like a run-of-the-mill steakhouse. It's not even that good. But again, it's gone so viral because of the unbelievable branding, right? I mean, the guy is a sales and marketing genius. When Argentina won the World Cup, right? They almost gave more news coverage to the guy who owned that steak restaurant than the actual players who won the World Cup. Like, how crazy is that? This goes to show you that marketing is, it's definitely, yes, Hawaii, you're right, the Salt Bay, that's his name. Yeah, supposedly, has anybody eaten at his restaurant? Supposedly, it's just, a normal restaurant, but they charge egregious prices just for the brand. One of my favorite shots of the Empire right here on 32nd Street. Susanna Q4, what's up? Good to see you. This is different kind of coffee beans, have different origins and qualities, kind of like cigars. This is Susanna Q4. Tickler says Spark Steakhouse is the best in New York City. I heard about that. I've never been there, but I've walked past it. But I think that is I think what made the steakhouse famous is, I think some famous mobsters were killed there. Is that correct? George says, sorry, Tom, I value your opinion, but unless you've owned a Mercedes, I don't think you can appreciate the value. No, yeah, I know nothing about cars for sure. I think it's just, if you see a Mercedes logo, automatically to me, I think, wow, that's a really expensive car without even knowing anything about it. I think that's the point, right? If I see, for example, a BMW logo, I automatically think, wow, that's an expensive car, and I don't know anything about cars. It could be a car that is has horrible performance. I have no idea, but just the brand insignia, like we have here, I'm like, wow, that's an expensive car, and I don't even know what it does. Hey, Charlotte is here. Morales says, hey, Tom and everybody, greetings. Zach Drew says, the Starbucks pods by Nespresso is the best way to do it. Quick quality, around $1. Interesting. I'll have to check it out. All right, so guys, we got to dive right into this here. Now, we are on our way downtown. We're going to go to the Village tonight. I think the last time we've been to the Village, it was a good time. We'll see how many people are out. I'll give you one more shot of the Empire State Building. But today was a very, very important day on Wall Street. And that is because we heard from Fed Chair Jerome Powell. However, we really didn't learn anything new. Did anybody take the time, or were you able to listen, or maybe read the transcript of the speech today? And any takeaways there? Hey, Carlos from Argentina, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Jack Spencer, Hawaii is here. Aloha, Hawaii. Welcome. Hey, Justin says, walks from Wall Street. This is a beautiful city. I am from Vancouver, Canada. Love this city. Well, I actually have plans to visit Vancouver relatively soon, so I'm very excited about that. Sabrina Ferris here says, happy Tuesday, kids. Good to see you, Sabrina. Thanks for joining us. Well, I wrote down two specific things. So these were my main two takeaways from Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Now, I wrote down a quote from the speech, and I think it's very important to read it, digest it, understand it, as a reminder of the end goal for the Federal Reserve. Now, we made some predictions last night on Walks on Wall Street talking about how the Fed may reference those non-farm payrolls that came in well above expectations. I think about 20,000 above expectations. They may have referenced the unemployment rate that actually dropped, but they actually didn't do any of that. Fed Chair Jerome Powell didn't reference a lot, but he very subtly, and I think even probably pretty sternly, just reinforced their end goal. So I want to read you guys a quote here from Fed Chair Jerome Powell. He says, price stability is the bedrock of a healthy economy and provides the public with an immeasurable benefit over time. So once again, price stability is the bedrock of a healthy economy and provides the public with immeasurable benefits over time. So to me, that really hammers home that the Fed is serious about killing inflation at all costs. So what that means is, what are we getting out on Thursday? Well, Thursday we get the CPI report out. So even if we come in a little bit hot or even at expectations, I think the Fed is going to be very steadfast with raising interest rates. Additionally, he said restoring price stability when inflation is high can require measures that are not particularly popular in the short term, as we have to raise interest rates to slow down the economy. So Jerome Powell is essentially reinforcing that he is going to have to continue to do actions such as raise interest rates and contract the size of the balance sheet to slow the economy. And that's not going to be particularly popular, right? We've even seen this get political, right? We've even seen this get political with many people in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party calling for the Federal Reserve to stop raising interest rates, to pivot. And I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. Hey, Nina, says, Tom, why doesn't the Fed just raise interest rates to the ceiling once and for all? Well, I think they want to do it gradually so they don't provide a shock to the system, right? Because with the amount of debt that we have, hold on, this is like a gorgeous shot of the empire. Would everybody agree with that? Look at that. With the amount of debt that we have, right? And this is why I think, there's an old saying on Wall Street that it's never different this time. But here's where I see a little bit of a difference. And there's been many people in the chat that have pointed this out as well. If you think back to the last major financial crisis we've had, it was leading up to the 2008 financial crisis. And that was a monster debt bubble, like a monster debt bubble. But the amount of debt that is in the system now is just, you can't even compare it to 07 and 08. It's actually a lot worse. So if you were to just jam rates all the way up to where the Fed wants them, which is, right around 5.5% for Fed funds rate. If you do that overnight, you would just provide a cataclysmic shock to the system, and I think it would spark Armageddon. Hey, Steph UH says, hey Tom, first-time home buyers are out in the cold. High interest rates and housing prices haven't fallen enough yet, at least in Florida. Yeah, I mean, Steph, you make a good point, and that is another thing we're going to be talking about tonight, because I said, right at the beginning of the stream, I got this notification from the Wall Street Journal, boom, across my phone, and it said Wells Fargo in bold letters, breaking news, Wells Fargo is getting out of the mortgage market. And I was like, what? I thought it was actually fake news. I honestly thought it was fake news, because if you remember the live stream from last night, we were talking about how I think that Wells Fargo, out of all of the major investment banks, right, all the major banks that are reporting in Q4 are probably going to take the hardest hit, because they have the most exposure to the mortgage market and the origination market, as well as the refinancing. And now that interest rates are so high, we've been looking at a lot of these leading indicators and coincident indicators, such as, the National Association of Realtors, existing home sales, and they've been really falling off a cliff. So that is going to put a lot of pressure on their earnings. And now it looks like the biggest, essentially, mortgage player on Wall Street is pulling the plug and just getting out of the game altogether. So pretty wild. Marcos says, Tom, if you put more than $1 million in a bank or in gaining bank, they will give you 10% interest. Really? I don't know about that. Zach Drew says, I think the majority or the major equity. I think you may have to type your comment again. Hey, Jeff W says, the Airbnb I stayed in Harlem this weekend has so many rats. Jeez, dude. Yeah, I mean, Jeff, why would you stay in an Airbnb in Harlem, man? Go to the Upper West Side. I think I told you to go to the Upper West Side. Yeah, Nina says, Wells Fargo recently was fined big again for wrong banking activities, not the first time. Now, I think what was the big thing? What was the big thing with Wells Fargo? Now, I think that they were opening accounts without customers' consent. I think that was the first major $1 billion fine, wasn't it? It was Wells Fargo opening customer accounts without even telling them. Steph UH says, wow, we closed our Wells Fargo account. Harper says, hey Tom, we love your channel and your soothing voice. That's very nice of you to say that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Daniel says, haha, walks never going above 125th Street. I used to live there. I used to live 127th Street. I used to take the train, get off right near, my old place used to be right where the Whole Foods. So if you're standing on the corner there, just walk up 2 more blocks to 127th, and I used to be right there. It was an all right neighborhood, but yeah. Tug Carter says, hey Tom, good to see you. It's good to see you too. Krog Dog says, Tom, Netflix did a segment on Wells Fargo called Dirty Money. I'm going to have to check it out. Now, speaking of Netflix has actually been rallying quite substantially here. Now, notice the 2 tech stocks that have been getting beaten down the most, I would say. I think of Netflix and I think of Facebook. Well, excuse me, Meta. I hate calling it that. Anyway, Meta. But these have actually been doing quite well. Now, usually what happens is you have these, we've talked about this, it's gross extension to the downside. So if you go to tradingview.com or something like that, I'll give you guys a quick look at the beautiful skyline over Madison Square Park. If you go to tradingview.com, and really the only major 2 moving averages you need, and I'm relating this to Paul Tudor Jones, Stanley Druckenmiller, and George Soros, because this is sort of what they have done. If you look for a historical extension to the downside, it usually comes into play if a stock is extended about 25% to the downside of the 50-day. That usually signals you could have these major neck snapper rallies, a reversion to the mean trade, if you will. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing with stocks like Netflix and Meta. Now, notice Tesla as well. Tesla has been getting bombed, hammered, almost every day relentlessly. But I would watch it here if you're really aggressively short, which I know some of you have been, because I do read all my emails. I may not have time to respond to every single one, but I do read every single one. So I know, some hedge fund managers that may have watched, or just regular retail traders have probably had big short exposure to Tesla. I think as of shooting this video, as of doing the live stream, it's extended about 38% to the downside from the 50. This thing could rally significantly back to the 50-day. So a lot of these stocks are extended. And if you notice today on Wall Street, it was a positive day. All of the major equity indices. Ooh, I hope that guy's skateboard doesn't get run over. But all of the major equity indices rallied today, but the NASDAQ rallied the most. And I was looking at the market, and the individual stocks that rallied the most were the very, very high beta, beaten down, ARK Innovative ETF style stocks, right? In this big relief rally. So I would be very careful here, because we're coming off quite literally 3 to 4 weeks of ridiculous selling. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have some sort of, I would say, relief rally. Michael Joseph's good idea, or was a good idea. Hold on, I think we may be buffering a little. Well, we usually never buffer around here. Anyway, but I think the thing is, it was a fantastic trade. It was a phenomenal trade, this Tesla short. The thing is, I think we've had that climactic, massive waterfall sell-off. Massive volume is coming out of the name. So I think it's time to, de-risk and lever out of our shorts. In my view, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm wrong all the time. Billy says Tesla will 100% rebound. Yeah, maybe you're right. Ryan Beck says it's the T-Mobile store, Tom, causing the interference. Yeah, yeah, Ryan Beck. Maybe it knows that I have Verizon, and these guys are trying to sabotage me here. Who knows? Another leading stock that's trading near 52-week highs and all-time highs is actually T-Mobile. I think they pre-announced their earnings, and I think it was actually pretty good too. But here we are, everybody. This is East 23rd Street. We have a beautiful view of the Empire State Building and the mini skyline here of Madison Square Park. Looks beautiful. Hey, Frank Gonzalez. Tom, are you ready for the new Brightline segment in Miami? I am, man. Miami needs better, newer, and improved public transit. However, if you are in downtown Miami or Brickell, the Metro Mover is phenomenal. I just think it needs to be extended. Justin says, walks on Wall Street, sorry, I am a Canadian liberal, and I am in love art. Seeing the city, I am blown away. Well, that's great, man. I'm glad you're enjoying New York, and thank you for being here. Twitch ASMR says Tesla continues to be affected by Twitter challenges. Billy says, also in your opinion, or what's your opinion on HBO? The streaming service is great and is currently 1/4 of the market cap of Netflix. I also think streaming services will continue to grow. Well, I think for me, in my view, streaming is a very crowded marketplace. So you think of Netflix, we talked about Peacock, HBO, and what a lot of these streaming platforms are doing, and I think, we've been talking about this for a while, in order to garner or gain market share, a lot of them now are doing different style tiers that are supported by advertising. Now, you guys must have told me this a million times, but the Netflix subscription or advertising supported subscription is what, $6.99? Something like that, $6.99 or $7.99 for the ad supported version. So for me, I don't own Netflix. Could the stock rebound and perform rather well? Sure it could, yeah. But for me, I think it's just too much of a crowded market, in my view. And that's sort of why I choose not to own it. Vivian says it's $10 with the advertising. Dusty Cole, what's up? Hey, TMB is here. What's up? Good to see you. All right, let's continue to walk down. LL says, I think it's 10 CAD or Canadian. Dan Zhang says, I've got a good deal for Peacock, only paying $2 a month for the year. Wow. Well, I think I told you guys, I actually signed up for Peacock only because of the World Cup, right? They were showing all of the World Cup games in Spanish. So I said, look, maybe I'll learn a little bit of Spanish and I'll be able to watch the World Cup. But, after the World Cup finished, I churned out of the account because I was looking at all the other, shows and things like that. And I don't really watch any of that stuff. So I wish I could see the metrics to see how many people signed up for Peacock only to churn their subscription because they signed up for the World Cup. I think that'd be interesting to see. I think it's a lot of people too. Hey, Vladimir says, hello, Tom. What do you think about investing in Berkshire Hathaway long term? Yeah, I mean, look, I think I'll answer your question because I don't want it to... I can't give financial advice, obviously, but I will say this. Think about, and there was a really interesting chart going around on Twitter, and it was showing the performance of ARK and the performance of Berkshire Hathaway side by side. And what you've noticed is that, during the time, I would say mostly in 2020, the latter half, and 2021, the ARK innovative ETF was just ripping, right? And everybody was calling Cathie Wood the new Warren Buffett, new wave of investing, yada, yada, this and that. And she was outperforming Berkshire Hathaway by a large margin, by a very, very large margin. But now that we've had this big liquidity drain and interest rates are going up, it seems as if in all market cycles, right, if you've ever read any value investing books, any of the Ben Graham books, over long durations of time, what you want to try to do as a value investor is buy companies at a very, very steep discount and hold them forever. And Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway do a good job of finding sort of boring businesses that are just staples that'll probably always be around and they grow consistently, right? You think about Coca-Cola, you think about, a lot of the insurance companies. I think they own Geico and a bunch of others too. But I think for me, and Warren Buffett has actually said this himself. Now, I always watch all of the Berkshire Hathaway investor meetings. I watch every single one of them. And Warren Buffett will even tell you, he's like, look, when I'm dead and gone, my family trust will be indexed to the S&P 500, right? Because over long durations of time, Warren Buffett says, look, if you have one bet, it's sort of like what John Bogle said, right? The founder of the Vanguard Group. Here we have Chipotle, ticker symbol CMG. He said, look, if you think corporate profits in America are going to go up on average 8%, over the long period of time, the S&P 500 will probably return about 5 to 8% per annum, right? And 5 to 8% compounded out over an investing lifetime is a lot of money. It's a hell of a lot of money. So I think if somebody's deciding to, invest all their money in Berkshire Hathaway or, index to the S&P 500, I can't tell you what to do. But I think if I had to pick, I think I'd just buy the S&P. Any thoughts on that? And this is just open discussion. It's not, I'm saying what's right or wrong. But I'd say if I had to pick two, I think I'd do that. Good Korean barbecue place here, guys. We are now at Union Square. This is East 17th Street, but we're going to walk down to 14th Street, Union Square. Ryan Beck says, I agree. Good to see you, Ryan. Gymless Fitness says, do you believe that some companies are too big to fail and that no matter what they're wrongdoing, governments will never be able to shut them down? No, I think that I think that's two questions in one. I think it's interesting to talk about that, but no, I actually think, and I've been very outspoken about this on the channel, and this is why if you're a long-short portfolio manager, right? If you're a long-short equity portfolio manager, you got to manage your risk. You cannot just buy these stocks and hold them forever because we live in the age of disruption, right? And if I had to bet, I'd say in the next 10 to 15 years, the top 10 stocks in the S&P 500 will be completely replaced with new companies. And the reason why I say that is because it always happens, right? Go back to the 1980s, 1990s, and look at the top 10 stocks in the S&P and compare it to now. It's constant disruption. And if you're not adapting and innovating, you're going to get disrupted by somebody else. Look at the news coming out of Microsoft. Didn't they just, invest at like a $10 billion valuation to some AI chatbot that doesn't even generate any revenue? Did anybody hear about that? I didn't really read into it too much, but maybe somebody else who's more read up on that could inform us that in the chat. Didn't Microsoft just make an investment at like a ridiculous valuation? I'm actually now very curious about that. That's going to kill me all night if somebody in the chat doesn't put what that is. I think it was like OpenAI is the company, right? Yes, Michael Joseph invested in Chat GPT at 10 billion. OpenAI. Yeah, and look, I'm not a smart guy, okay? I don't know what's going to win or what's going to lose, but I do know that something is going to win, and I know that what's going to win isn't the present thing right now. So I think if you're not consistently adapting, the company is going to get smashed. Think about all of the top leading stocks of the previous time, right? Now, if you read William J. O'Neill's book, How to Make Money in Stocks, William J. O'Neill is the founder and the owner of Investors Business Daily. He includes about 500 model books, charts of previous stock market winners. And the number one company that stands out to me all the time, it was one of the greatest winners in stock market history, was a company called the Tandy Corporation. And Tandy Corporation went on to later be known Radio Shack. And I think it had peak price performance of like 1,300%, or something ridiculous. And look where Radio Shack is now, right? It's out of business. Nobody goes to Radio Shack. So, think about all of the people who work for General Electric. I think if you were to talk to anybody in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, wow, you work for GE, you're going to get an amazing pension, and the stock price, it just keeps going up and up and up. Look where GE is now. It's in shambles. The company's probably going to go out of business, right? Granted, Larry Culp, I respect Larry Culp. He's the new CEO of GE. I actually respect him very much. I think he's an unbelievable businessman, but maybe we'll save that for a different night. But things are always changing, right? Always changing. It's a good conversation to have, good question. Hey, Edward Adams says, I agree with you, Tom. Look at Lehman Brothers. Yeah, there's another example. Lehman Brothers is a 150-year-old company. 100% correct. Patrick New York says, Tom, what did you think of the news that Bed Bath & Beyond is considering bankruptcy? I think it's the Amazon effect, right? Unfortunately, right, or fortunately, depending on where your viewpoints align here, e-commerce is absolutely eating the way we purchase things, right? And I think we may have had this conversation the other night about, Bed Bath & Beyond. Who really goes to shop inside a Bed Bath & Beyond store? I couldn't even tell you the last time I was in it. Anything I could get at Bed Bath & Beyond, I could order off of Amazon, right? So, or get it off Shopify, something like that, right? So I think if you don't have a pure play e-commerce business, the company's done for, right? And I always make this comparison to Best Buy and Circuit City. Now, that should probably be a case study that should be studied at Harvard Business School, NYU Stern, and maybe it is actually. But the only reason why Best Buy is still around today and Circuit City is not is because management invested a ton of money into their e-commerce business at Best Buy, and Circuit City didn't. And if you're ever on the earnings call, Best Buy's earnings call, they generate a ton of revenue from online sales. They have a very streamlined online order and in-store pickup process. And I think that's why they're still around and survived. Does Bed Bath & Beyond even have a website? I'm asking that genuinely. I don't even know, right? But, a company like Best Buy, I've purchased multiple things off of their website and picked it up in store. Yeah, Ryan Beck says BlackBerry is another one. That's true. Yeah, or RIM. Now, what was another... Does anybody remember the company SanDisk? I think SanDisk is still around, or it may not be around. That was another big winner back in the day. Hey, Perry Kirby, this is Amazon. Price comparables. Jack is here, what's up? This nuclear fission to fuel cars being developed. Looks promising for future investment. That should be interesting for sure. Hey, Marco is here. This is what is better, Best Buy or Amazon? I think Amazon is more convenient. Oh my gosh, Dan Zhang says I used to dream about wanting a BlackBerry as a kid. That's another thing, talk about disruption. I think Dan Zhang and Ryan Beck said that. Now, the CEO of BlackBerry actually was doing tours on major news networks and said nobody in the business world is ever going to use an iPhone. Nobody at any of the big consulting firms or the investment banks, nobody is ever going to use an iPhone because it doesn't have the keyboard. You need a physical keyboard. This thing is ridiculous. Does anybody remember that? Now, I'm too young to actually remember that, but I've studied it, and it just goes to show people change. People adapt to new things. There's better products and services. So you always need to be adapting, especially in your investment thesis. Now, here's the last thing I'll say about sort of this topic, but this is a good conversation. So Patrick New York brought up Bed Bath & Beyond, right? And how Bed Bath & Beyond is probably going to file for bankruptcy. Now, I posted on my Twitter, I think 2 days ago, if you want to follow us there, at Walks Wall Street. We post a lot of our equity research there for free. It's a good place to connect with us. So I'll tell you a quick story, and I think it ties into this conversation. So I was in Penn Station, right? I was waiting to go home. I was waiting for the train. And so I walked all the way to the Moynihan train hall, all the way in the back. I go to Walgreens, right? I needed soap for the house, right? Just basic soap, deodorant. So I go there. Guys, everything, I'm talking everything is locked behind plexiglass. The soap. And you have to press this button to call a customer service aide or an agent to come over and unlock the case and retrieve your item. And this is everything. And this is like for a $9, 8-pack of soap. So the reason why I think it's relevant as it relates to Bed Bath & Beyond going out of business, how many people do you think, right? And I'm not trying to make this political, please. How many people do you think will walk into their local CVS, will walk into their local Target, will walk into their local Dwayne Reed, say, I got to go grab some soap, I got to go grab some, dish soap for the house, and see it's behind plexiglass. They press the button, they're waiting around for 5 minutes. New Yorkers have an attention span of a pigeon, and they walk out. Do you think that's going to impact sales? And that's only going to accelerate the Amazon effect. People are going to start to be conditioned to say, you know what? I'm just going to order my soap off of Amazon. I'm going to order the toiletries off of Amazon. I'm going to order my toothpaste, yada, 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 off Amazon. Because I don't want to stand there and wait for some customer service agent to unlock a plexiglass to hand me a bar of soap. Any thoughts there? Now, this is totally anecdotal. I'm not saying this is a nationwide thing. It's just starting to happen in New York because there's so much theft. So do we think this is going to impact sales, or do we think it's not? Yeah, Theos is unbelievable. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Penelope says, very true. Abdullah says, I agree. Patrick New York says, agreed. Ren 10 says 100% for sure. And that's, what I think it's going to hurt the most? I think it may hurt the very small pharmacies in and around big cities. And I'll tell you why. Because Walgreens, billion-dollar company, right? They have the money to invest into the plexiglass. These small bodegas don't. So these people get fleeced, right? And they're forced to close down. The only people who have the resources to put the big glass up are the billion-dollar companies, right? CVS, Walgreens. So I think it's going to be interesting for sure. Hey, Unij22 says, yes, I do. Good to see you, Unij. All right, everybody. We are now in the beautiful Washington Square Park. We are overlooking New York University, NYU. And if you look directly through the clouds, you could actually see One World Trade Center. Susanna Q4 says, indeed, Tom, it happens in my Walmart too with some products, and the reason is shoplifting. Emerson says, for sure, will impact sales. So it seems as if the consensus in the Walks on Wall Street chat is that it is going to impact sales. Jeff says, Dollar Tree is reacting just by closing the stores in New York City. Oh, so instead of putting up the plexiglass? Perry Kirby says, of course it impacts sales. My time and shopping experience have changed with Amazon. Yeah, I mean, if I can just order the soap on Amazon, and I believe if you have Amazon Prime, I just found out I have Amazon Prime and I'm paying for it and I didn't even know about it. Anyway, that's my problem. That doesn't concern you guys. But I think it's free. I think the shipping is free. So it's going to be a big issue. It's going to be a big issue for sure. Someone says, walks on Wall Street, Vancouver's art spots are going too, all the fun, crazy stores. And the comedy places are closing as well. That's not good. PJL says, anyone playing chess tonight? Not tonight. You know, there's usually a lot of chess players in Union Square, but they usually go home at around 8 o'clock. There's tons of chess players there. Valor Rabbit is here. Welcome. Beautiful Washington Square Park Christmas tree here in front of the arch. Keith says Amazon Prime is going for $179 a year. I think I paid $99. I saw it on my credit card statement. It's like a business account. But still, I mean, $99 a year, that's a lot of money. I didn't even know I was paying it. Anyway, if you guys are enjoying the conversation that we're having tonight, feel free to smash the like button. It helps the channel reach more folks like you. And subscribe if you're new. We'd love to have you join us every day at 8:30 for a chat about the financial markets and a walk around. Frank the Tank is here. Good to see you. Nina says, Tom, we live in times, need to check monthly and our bank accounts. Oh, for thefts? Yeah. Now, I don't really get too much credit card fraud because I only use Apple Pay. I don't even know where my physical credit cards are, to be quite honest. I only use Apple Pay, and that has mitigated all disasters. Great view of One World Trade Center here. Now check out the Christmas tree pit here. So everybody in the neighborhood comes to Washington Square Park and drops off their Christmas tree here. Theo says, Tom, Amazon will continue to innovate in response to retail theft crisis. Yeah, it's and you know, it's inevitable, but it's also kind of sad because I was reading one of the articles, and we sort of touched on this before, about a lot of the smaller neighborhood bodegas in the boroughs, particularly in Brooklyn and the Bronx. You know, they don't have the resources. They don't have the financial resources to put everything behind lock and key. So they wind up, you know, suffering from significant shrinkage. And shrinkage is a term, you know, retailers use for, you know, the difference between goods they bring in and the goods that they actually sell. And I'm not trying to blame it all on theft, right? But I know that theft makes up a very large portion of it. You know, there's internal theft as well. For anybody who's sort of studied. We're gonna head this way because this will take us into the village. Oh, look at that. What the heck? It's disgusting. Anyway. Twitch ASMR, what's up? What? Sabrina Fair says, Tom, we canceled our Amex Platinum because they wanted $900 a year. And you have to charge $75,000 to get into the Centurion Lounge at the airports? What? Hold on, let me reread that. Really? Because Sabrina Fair, I have that card, and I think I'm gonna can it too. I mean, it's $670. I think $675 for the year, but I don't even use it. I mean, I use it for, you know, business expense, but I just don't know. I don't think rat right here, 12 o'clock. I just don't think it's worth it. But I never heard it's almost $1,000 yearly fee. That's ridiculous. I thought it was like $700. Crazy though. Yeah, Dusty Cole's like, Tom, get ready for that $75,000 bill. Yeah, I'm ready for it, man. I told you guys about that bizarre story that my water bill was 6 figures. It was obviously wrong, right? And the town contacted me and corrected it, but it nearly gave me a heart attack. That was the wildest story I've ever had. Ryan Beck says, I think it's worth it, $185 annual clear, Uber credits and stuff. Yeah, so Ryan, okay, this is good. Let's talk about this for a second, because I have some questions here. Now, I have the clear thing through American Express, right? And clear is just, it's so worth it. I can't even tell you how worth it is, right? You get to skip the line, you just scan your irises of your eyes, and you automatically get to go through the security. Now, here's the crazy thing. As of late, I'd say in the last 4 months, it's like clear has vanished from the earth. Every time I fly American Airlines, I never see clear. I say, hey, do you have clear? They're like, no, we don't do clear. And this is between JFK and Miami International, so I never get to use it. I don't know, maybe they canceled their membership with American Airlines, but I never get to use it. It's crazy. Anyway, yeah, all good stuff. Pretty interesting. Now, speaking of credit cards, it's going to be very important to pay attention on Friday, right? Because we have all of the major banks reporting earnings, right? Or at least they kick off the Q4 earnings season. We are going to hear from JP Morgan Chase, we're going to hear from Citi, and many, many others, Bank of America. And I think the most important thing to look for, right, if we want to have a proxy for how the average American consumer is doing, is to look very, very closely at the credit card delinquencies. So they will give you the statistics on 30 days late, all the way up to 90 days late. And if we start to see 90-day plus delinquencies in credit card payments really, really starting to tick up here, well, we can use that as a proxy to say, okay, well then maybe Americans are starting to rack up big bills on their credit card statements just to make ends meet, and they're falling behind on their payments. Now, credit card balances are growing, which is very, very concerning. But if you remember when we were doing our analysis this time 3 months ago, right, or 3 months ago, right, last quarter, delinquencies were actually pretty low. It was actually pretty low. A slight uptick. I think Jamie Dimon said there was a very, very slight uptick. Brian Moynihan, CEO of Bank of America, said there was a slight uptick. But, you know, after all of the layoffs that we've been hearing from Amazon, from Meta, from Goldman Sachs, I think Goldman Sachs let rip about 3,600 employees yesterday. And Coinbase today announced that they are going to be laying off about 20% of their entire workforce, and that equates to about 950 people. That's pretty significant. Now, speaking of layoffs, we're going to cross West 4th Street here. Listen to this. Get a load of this. So we briefly talked about how Wells Fargo announced that they are getting out of the mortgage business entirely and focusing on their existing clientele. This is a great shot of One World Trade Center here. Wells Fargo, everybody, is the player. I'm talking about the main player in the United States mortgage market. Okay, you can't get bigger than Wells Fargo. So if they announce something as big as getting out of the business entirely, and you expect that there's not going to be some layoffs and some job cuts, well, you got another thing coming. They didn't announce anything. I was looking at the article. Obviously, it was breaking news, but if you have a bank, a big bank, that is so heavily weighted towards the mortgage market, and you say, okay, we're pulling out of that business, that could be thousands of jobs lost. So anybody's thoughts there, or maybe anybody who works at Wells Fargo could provide some clarity there about the number of layoffs, if they're going to lay anybody off. Wow. Nina says, I smell smoke after Wells Fargo is bailing out mortgage loans. Yeah, it's kind of very reminiscent to '08, kind of, isn't it? But look, we'll see. I think we're going to get more updates. Nina says Southern California has rumors of layoffs. Well, I think the vast majority of the mortgage employees at Wells Fargo, they work in San Francisco. Is that correct? Line Sync says, Tom, Amazon announced Tuesday here in the United Kingdom they're closing 3 warehouses, losing 1,200 jobs, but opening 3 more in different areas, creating 3,500 jobs. Okay, so maybe just a little bit of a restructuring. I think overall, right, the overarching theme there at Amazon, they did announce that they're cutting about 18,000 jobs, but I don't think it's exclusive to one company, as we were talking about. I think it's going to be pretty broad-based. I think companies sort of see the writing on the wall. Plus, it is the first quarter now, Q1. Usually companies do reorgs, restructures, and layoffs around this time anyway. Eyeglass Lady, thank you so much. Says San Francisco, Tom, is Wells Fargo's corporate office. That would make sense. Jeff W277 says, Tom, Wells Fargo has many in Minnesota and North Carolina. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be interesting. Ryan Beck says Wells Fargo is building a massive campus in Las Colinas outside of Dallas. I didn't know that either. It seems like everything is closed tonight, doesn't it? Hold on. Usually this place is always super busy, but it seems like it's totally closed. Or maybe just the inside is open. Lizzie says, Tom, with Clear, if they don't have enough people using it, they can't justify the space at the airport. Yeah, I mean, I used to use it every single time that I flew American Airlines. Now I can't. I never use it, so I don't even know if it's worth it for me. Okay, so Nina says, Tom, Texas is the new mega for large corporation headquarters. They are vacating Cali. I wonder if there's some like tax implications there. I think it would make sense, but who knows? Hey, Emma G says Amazon UK seems to be moving their sites away from higher priced areas nearer to London. That makes sense. You know, Emma, they're doing the same thing here in the United States. You know, you're seeing a huge exodus of companies from, you know, Silicon Valley moving to lower tax brackets. So it's going to be interesting to see the overarching response from state and local governments. Now, here's something crazy. We've been talking about Citadel Securities, Ken Griffin. Now, I just found this out, well, you know, a while ago, but regardless, before Ken Griffin moved out of Chicago, Illinois, I think he was the #1 taxpayer in Chicago. That man alone. That is a pretty significant blow to tax revenues. So it's going to be interesting to see the paradigm shift in a lot of these places. Here we have the Stonewall Inn. Notice how dead it is here. Now, it is a Tuesday night, and it is rather cold outside, but there's almost nobody on the streets, like nobody. And we sort of predicted this, you know, usually after the holidays, after the new year, the city totally empties out, and all the tourists pretty much go home, and then they start back up again, usually in late March, early April. Hey, John says stores may be closed. That doesn't affect your show. Love your channel. Hey, thank you, John. Abraham, thank you so much. Biz says, Tom, I became a whole coiner today and moved to cold storage. Dude, that's an awesome feeling, isn't it? Isn't that an awesome feeling? Congratulations to you, my friend. Now, that is what I preach, okay? And I think if anybody... I think obviously everybody has to do their own research here, But if you decide to get exposure to Bitcoin, the whole value proposition, right? The argument, in my view, is that Bitcoin's value proposition is unconfiscatable money. Easier way to transact money that's totally unconfiscatable if you have your own private keys. So if you're going to have exposure to Bitcoin and you're going to leave it on an exchange, you sort of violate its pretty much only value proposition it has, right? And you're just using it as pure speculation. So yeah, if you do have exposure to Bitcoin, you got to get it off the exchanges, right? Look at FTX. And that is why I've been pounding the table about this. It's pretty much since the year 2016, right? There's an old saying, not your keys, not your crypto. So if you own Bitcoin, you got to pull it off the exchanges, because let's say if that exchange goes under, right? That is technically not your Bitcoin. That gets sold off in the bankruptcy. So just buy a paper wallet or a Ledger Nano S or a Trezor or something like that and rip it off the exchanges, man. Isaac says, Tom, I lost all my Bitcoin in the FTX collapse. See, that's horrible, man. And, you know, it's really horrible what that guy did. I'm so sorry for what happened. Marketing videography says Ken Griffin is fleeing Democrat-run Illinois. He'll take over $200 million in annual tax revenue with him. And that's just his personal share. Yeah, I mean, marketing videography, it's crazy, right? Like what one person can do and have an impact. And look, it's not like Ken Griffin didn't do anything for Chicago. I mean, he invested a ton of money. And I actually had the pleasure of being invited to an event where Ken Griffin had to sit down, sort of like a mini conference interview, I would say, with the mayor of Miami, Francis Suarez, at the Economic Club of Miami. I think I actually posted the video up. Maybe one of the moderators could drop the link, but it was an awesome event. It was at Miami-Dade College in downtown Miami. I got to meet a lot of the employees at Citadel, a lot of the quantitative researchers that are relocated to Miami. Really smart people. It was a great event put on by the Economic Club of Miami. I was very fortunate to be able to go. And the interview is available online, if somebody could put it in the link in the description, for free. And I would highly suggest watching that interview with Citadel's Ken Griffin. Now, marketing videography. I'm not sure if you saw the stream a couple days ago, but there is a beautiful brand new office tower that is going up on Park Avenue. It is called 425 Park Avenue, and it is this thing is unbelievable. We did a quick walking tour around there the other day, and Citadel Securities, I think, has about 250 employees in there now. When the building is totally complete, they're going to go to 1,000. So it seems as if you're right. They're moving a lot of employees away from Chicago. They're still going to have a presence in Chicago, but they're relocating a lot of them to places like New York, places like Miami, Florida. But check out that building, 425 Park. That thing is insane. It's an awesome building. Simon P11 says, I just got a Ledger. Love that. Love that. Dusty Cole, welcome. Good to see you. All right, I think we have a couple more things to cover here. Now, we talked about Fed Chair Jerome Powell's speech. We'll quickly just do a minor recap for all of those who are just joining. So today we did hear from the Fed Chair himself, Jerome Powell, and it was pretty much a non-issue, right? There was nothing new. The only thing that the Fed Chairman said that I thought was notable is the following two quotations, which I'll read now. Now, Fed Chair Jerome Powell said, price stability is the bedrock of a healthy economy and provides the public with immeasurable benefits over time. So essentially just making a statement that look, guys, there's going to be no pivot on the horizon. Our goal is price stability, and we are going to do that no matter what, because it is the bedrock and the foundation of a stable and functioning economy. He then follows up that statement. Let's just cross the street 1 second. He then follows up this statement with an even, I would say, stronger and more direct statement. He says, restoring price stability when inflation is high, such as the time we have right now, can require measures that are not popular in the short term as we raise interest rates to slow the economy. He's literally prefacing and preparing everybody, saying, look, we are going to continue to do things that are unpopular, right? Think about all of the politicians on both the right and the left that are coming out and attacking Fed Chair Jerome Powell, saying things like he's going to kill the economy, he's going to throw a bunch of people out of work. I think Elizabeth Warren went on many Twitter tangents about how Fed Chair Jerome Powell is single-handedly destroying the U.S. economy. But in the speech he did today, he essentially gave everybody the middle finger and said, don't care, we're doing whatever we got to do to achieve price stability, and if you don't like it, tough, pound sand, right? That's pretty much what he said in a nicer way, right? We're going to do things that may be a little bit unfavorable, you may not like it, but tough, the rates are going higher. So we'll see. I think the markets are really waiting for the CPI number that we're going to get out on Thursday, and look, if CPI comes in hot, which I think it may, for one reason alone, and it's because unemployment rate has dropped from 3.7% to 3.5%. I do think we're going to see improvement in many categories now that supply chains are healing. However, I still think we're going to have very sticky inflation in food, and I think we're going to have very sticky inflation as it relates to shelter costs, which, as we know, is about 33% of the entire index. Any thoughts there? Do we think that we're going to get a hot inflation print on Thursday? Or do we think that inflation is going to come down even more than economists expected? Hey, Dan says, hello, Tom. Say hello to Mexico. Hey, good to see everybody in Mexico. Thank you to all of our Mexican viewers. Thank you guys for watching Walks on Wall Street, and welcome to New York City. Al Baker is here, says, hey, Tom, just joining in from Hollywood, Florida. I will be there in 2 weeks. I'll be in Hollywood, Florida in 2 weeks. Twitch ASMR says we are screwed. Brian says, yes, I think we will get higher inflation. Ren 10 says, I think inflation will be a bit higher. Hey, the RV or TV, what's up? Everybody, check out the RV or TV. Really cool channel there. Good to see you, RVer. Austin City Limits is, I think, 6%. That's what I'm guessing. Now, somebody, I forget who it is, and I do apologize for this. I always like to give the viewer credit. Somebody tagged me in a Twitter post. I'm assuming it was somebody in New Jersey, because here was the post, and I think I retweeted it. So if you go to my Twitter page at Walks Wall Street, it was a picture of a New Jersey Costco, I think, in Ewing, New Jersey. Is that how you pronounce it? Anyway, it doesn't matter. It was a Costco, right? And they took a picture of eggs, like all of the egg cartons stacked up. And Costco, allegedly, I don't know, I haven't been there, somebody just tagged me in the photo, is limiting the amount or the quantity that people can purchase. It's only 1 carton per family. And the carton was like $9.50 or whatever. Is anybody seeing something similar in your neighborhood grocery stores, or is that all BS and overblown? Because I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know anything about that. Very seldom do I buy eggs. And to tell you the truth, I eat out a lot, right? It's been getting very expensive. We've talked about that. But, you know, being in New York City and Miami and always being out, I really don't have time to cook unless I'm at home. Twitch ASMR says egg shortage is related to the bird flu. Carlos Ramos says, Tom, I think it's way overblown. Willie says, Tom, Aldi's eggs, it's close to $4 now. T says Equinox Gym stopped accepting new memberships this month? That's actually a bullish sign. Billy says, Tom, I've seen $6 carton of eggs. Wow, Emma G says, yes, eggs are even in short supply here in the United Kingdom. Yeah, Gary Carpenter, we understand that you're buffering. It's your internet, man. You got to fix the internet. I can't help you out there, pal. I'm sorry. A bit shifty. Oh, now we're buffering. Interesting. Hey, Evan Weeks, good to see you. Look at this place. This place looks really nice. Really calming vibe. Michael Joseph says, Tom, kids Tylenol is limited too. It's real. There are still shortages. Really? Kids Tylenol is in the shortage? That's crazy. Now, I mean, and that's the thing, right? And not to sort of beat a dead horse here with this, but this is what I've been saying as it relates to the CPI report. Now, obviously, we know that as it relates to CPI, the Federal Reserve puts a little bit more weighting as it relates to their decision making for monetary policy on core CPI, right? Which excludes very volatile food and energy. Now, here's the thing, and we've said this a million times, not to beat a dead horse, but I think it's critical here because I think it helps people prepare their families and everything for what's ahead and what's happening, is that food prices are exploding. And I'm saying that objectively as possible. I don't have a political bias. It's exploding. And if you look at the CPI report, almost everything is coming down, right? Which is good news. You look at used vehicle prices, total collapse. New vehicle prices coming down significantly. But as it relates to food and shelter, those are the two things that aren't really budging as fast as we'd like them to, right? And that's a big problem because chances are, I don't want to speak for anybody in the chat, but I mean, chat, in my view, I spend the most money on my mortgage, right? To pay the bills for the house and food, right? So shelter, let me cross the street here. So shelter and food are my biggest two expenses, and those are the only things that seem to be having some trouble going down here. Hey, J Blues B3 South Side says, we are up 2 times for a 50-pound bag of horse feed. Used to be $9.95, now it's $17.95. Wow, that's insane. We got the FDNY coming down the street here. PJL says more than 57 million birds across 49 states have been affected this year by the flu outbreak. Yeah, so on top of all the craziness that's going on with supply chain mishaps, now we have this big outbreak of the bird flu, which is really affecting things. Interesting. So we're gonna make a left here. Just let me, because we're now getting very close to the West Side Highway. And the wind is picking up. So if you make a right here, this will take you all the way to the West Side Highway. But we are actually gonna head a little bit further in to Midtown. Well, not to Midtown, but just further in the island near Houston Street. So we'll talk about some action here and some individual stock names, as well as we'll talk about some of the action in the bond market. Onyx 9 says, Tom, eggs are usually $4 a dozen in New York City. PJL says, Tom, to put it simply, fewer trucks and ingredients lead to increased hay and feed prices. Hey, Evan Weeks says, it's weird we haven't seen a huge shortage here in Georgia, but we're a huge poultry state, that's true. And in my area in particular produces monstrous amounts of chicken eggs and chicken and eggs. Yeah, and I think in most rural environments, you could get your own chickens, right? And lay your own eggs, theoretically. Now, I saw this interesting post on Twitter. Here's the Houston Street station, by the way. You can take it to the Uptown 1 train in the Bronx. If you cross the street, you can take it downtown to the South Ferry terminal, where you could actually jump on the Staten Island ferry. Maybe we'll do that one night when it's a little less cold out. But I think 2 chickens can produce up to 40 eggs or something like that. Maybe I'm talking as a city boy, so I should probably shut my mouth on that, but so anyway, interesting action in the bond market, interesting action in the VIX. The VIX was down big today, down about 6%. We're trading at 20.58. That's huge collapse in the VIX. Now, that's risk on, right? Generally speaking. But in order for the market, in my opinion, to find the bottom, I think we still need that explosive blow off in the VIX. Now, we talked about an interesting statistic called the divergence between consumer sentiment. Look at how unique this place is. Look at that. Really unique. Now, we talked about the divergence between, number one, consumer sentiment and consumer, I would say, retail positioning in the stock market. So if you look at the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index, we've pretty much are at all-time record lows for consumer sentiment. However, if you look at equity fund flows into specific equity indices in the United States and just overall gross stock exposure, it's near all-time record highs, which is a very, very interesting and unique divergence. And I was talking to my good friend, he's a hedge fund manager in Chicago, and he's like, Tom, I've never really seen this. And he's like, in my 30 years experience trading, you're not really going to find the material bottom unless you wash out a lot of the speculative excess, which are the meme stock traders, the one lot equity option traders that just gamble and punt options and things like that. And as of now, right, we're only just starting to see some of that retail selling. Only just now. JP Morgan Chase put out some data that last week was the single largest week for retail selling on record. But this is only just starting, right? So I think we're going to need a little bit more pain here. If you look at the major equity indices, oh, look at this place. This is called Holiday Bar. Let's check out some of the prices. Hey, Tariq Khan says, thank you, Tom, for the walk and talk. Thank you so much, Tariq, for always supporting the channel and being here. I appreciate it very, very much. All right, oysters, $25, $45. Lobster avocado salad is 40 bucks. Wow, look at this, a Wagyu strip steak, 220 bucks. Those are pretty good margins. You can see the Empire State Building in the distance here. Yes, Sabrina Fair says, let's go. I'm down. Sabrina Fair is going to open us up a pretty nice tab. I'm down.
All right, thanks again, guys.
Later, guys. Hey, Doctor Strange says the price of eggs will reach the price of gold at this rate. You will have chickens laying golden eggs. Now, speaking of gold, gold is actually acting really well. Now, what is gold trading at now? If I remember correctly, I was looking at it today. Now, gold seems to be filling out this major cup with handle pattern for anybody who's technical analyst. But I think gold's at like $1,800 an ounce, right? I think 1,870 bucks or something like that. It closed that today. Melee gold 1875, yeah. Wow, so gold's really having a nice rally here. Yeah, Twitch ASMR is just under 1,900. Now, it's interesting because think about this. Here's one of the pre-programmed settings I put into my trading view. And maybe, coming up tomorrow, we're actually going to have our first stock market video out. So, going forward, starting tomorrow, this is Joe's Pizza. We're going to have quick 10-minute stock market updates. You guys will be able to see my screen. I'm going to post it for those of you who cannot make the live streams. I think that'll be a good addition to the channel. Anyway, here's what I've been noticing. Take a look at the Dixie, right? The Dixie has sliced well below the 200-day and the 50-day moving average, and we're trading at about 103. So the dollar has been coming down. We're having dollar weakness here. Gold is up, and the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield is down, and we have equities rallying, and we have Bitcoin rallying. So we can almost sort of identify these patterns that, look, dollar down, gold higher, silver higher, equities trying to have somewhat of a little bit of a bear market rally. Emerging markets are freaking thunder. Guys, emerging markets are ripping. EEM, VWO, a lot of the Chinese ADRs, freaking talk about, that is a rip your face off rally there. Okay, in a lot of these Chinese ADRs, that is thunder. Let's cross here. West 4th Street. Oh, so this will take us right into New York University. Maybe we'll walk past the Stern School of Business. Now, emerging markets tend to benefit from a weaker dollar, by the way. Yeah, Meld says the theater was showing some great films. Now, oh man, I forget the name of it. What is the... Okay, let me show it actually. The theater all the way in the back. What was the most famous sort of show that played there way back in the day? Rocky Horror. Does anybody remember that? Something like that? Am I thinking of the right thing? Rocky Horror Kids. I remember one of my coworkers telling me about it. He's like, Thomas, I used to go to the city all the time back in the day, and I was one of the Rocky Horror Kids, and I didn't even know what he was talking about. But supposedly it was down here, I guess. Am I thinking of the wrong thing? Oh, Coffee Webley's... Okay. Maybe I am thinking of the right thing. Yeah, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Is anybody familiar with that? Was that a big thing down here in New York? I don't know. This guy was a cool guy I used to work with. He was telling me about it. I had no idea what he was talking about. But supposedly it was down here. In that theater, they would play it. Al Baker says it was very popular back in the 1980s. Somebody says huge cult movie. A cult movie? What the heck? I'm gonna have to do some more research on this. All right, anyway, West 3rd Street, looking at the beautiful One World Trade Center. You know, I'll actually take you guys on a quick spin through the neighborhood here. If you're enjoying the live stream so far, hit the like button for us and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We go live at 8:30 p.m. if you want to join us another time. This is the sort of like the NYU college town. Actually seems to be pretty busy. Maybe a lot of the college kids are back now.
I was like, actually, like, I had like an excellent time. Like,
Hey, Evan Weeks says, dude, have you ever been to one of the interactive showings of the movie? It's like 5-drink minimum. Hilarious. I think he was sort of telling me about that. Like he used to go into the city way back in the day. It was like a huge thing. I'll have to do some research into it, but every time I walk past that theater, it always reminds me of that story. Hey, Twitch ASMR, what's up? Now, there used to be a really good faux place here. I'm actually trying to look for it as we speak. East Smith. So East Smith is, you're in Southern Florida, right? What have you been noticing about the real estate market, specifically the rental real estate market there? Now, I'll be back down there maybe about a week. But from the looks of it, I'll tell you what I'm noticing, and maybe you could, fill us in the chat what you're seeing. But I'm seeing a lot of wishful pricing still in the market, especially near Sunny Isles Beach, North Miami Beach, North Miami. Some of these 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom homes, I mean, they're listing them for like $550, $600. And these are just very, very wishful pricing, I think. I was wondering if you're seeing the same thing. Anybody else, whatever neighborhood you're in across the United States, are you sort of seeing the same thing, right? Because if you look at the National Association of Realtors statistics, transaction volume is all but dried up, right? And falling off a cliff. Yeah, so everybody, let's just turn off the cap locks in the chat. I think somebody's keyboard is stuck on the cap locks. East Smith, it seems that the market is softening a little bit, but some of these new buildings are getting big money. Yeah, so a lot of the condominiums, I think you're saying, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see... I think we got the light. I'm really excited to see the Aston Martin building. I think the finishing touches are just being put on it right now. And that building is about 90% sold out already, so... Yeah, running at altitudes as rents are going down. We are seeing 1 month free with $1,000 incentives. I'm actually seeing that here in New York City. I was looking at a couple places on the Upper West Side, and I'm actually starting to see that. So that is actually good news. So maybe, team, that will show up in the CPI report on Thursday. Maybe it's too soon, maybe it will, but I think generally that's good news, right? Maybe not good news if you're a landlord, but for the majority of people, I think it's time for some, rental relief, prices to come down. I don't think I'm the only person who's hoping for that. Justine, copy that. No big deal. I'm actually dyslexic as well. I always jumble my words around and things like that. It was hard for me to read for a long, long time. I was always put in those AIS English. Now maybe that's like a New York State thing, but throughout my entire high school, middle school career, I was always in the AIS. It was called AIS English because I struggled with reading comprehension very, very bad. All right, let's walk down 2 blocks, then we're gonna bang a left and head back uptown. It's kind of nice walking around and it's quiet because we're coming off the holidays and man, not to be a buzzkill, but it's kind of nice that the holidays are dying down. Things have been relaxed, I guess. Hey, Dan Zhang says, I hope the price in Astoria could come down. I think that's going to be my next neighborhood to live in after Forest Hills. Look, Forest Hills is a nice neighborhood. So, Dan, do you live close to the subway station? I mean, not subway station, excuse me. LIRR. I think maybe they may be one and the same, though. But, well, look at that shot of the Trade Center. Hey, Julia M., good to see you.
For others, I'm curious.
D8 says, is this close to Little Italy? It's close-ish, but not really that close. But it's definitely walkable. Hey, Marilyn from Murray Hill, good to see you. Good to see you, Marilyn. We are passing Thompson Street, but we're going to make a left now. Here's one of the many sports bars in and around NYU. Mike K says, Tom, is the LIRR going to go to Grand Central? Yeah, I mean, that's been... So that is called the East Side Access Project. And that has been a work in progress for, my God, I don't even know how long. But supposedly, the only reason why they haven't opened it yet is because they're waiting for a single part. I think it's like an exhaust fan. And due to the supply chain issues, for whatever reason, they can't get the part. They can't get this exhaust fan to open up the East Side Access Project. Has anybody else heard about that? Maybe some of the New Yorkers, maybe Marilyn knows about that. Marilyn from Murray Hill. But dude, the moment the LIRR goes to Grand Central, oh my God, I'm gonna be so relieved, so happy. I'll make you guys this promise. The moment the East Side Access Project actually opens up, we're gonna do the first train that I take from Long Island to Grand Central. It's either we'll do a live stream streaming the experience, or I'll shoot a standalone video because, I mean, I've been waiting for that for quite literally 10 years. Not just me, but Long Islanders all over the island. Michael Joseph's cigarettes are like $15 in New York. Well, that's actually good. I agree with that. It'll deter people from smoking. Smoking is horrible, horrible, horrible. And if there's any smokers in the chat, I hope you guys quit. You just need the mental fortitude to do it. And I believe in you that you could do it. Here's the chess store. Al Baker says, Tom, would you ever do a live stream in the daytime or on the weekends? Oh, in the daytime on the weekends? It's tough, man. Because I'm usually working during the day. And during the day on the weekends is my time to do total post analysis on everything in my life. From, investments that I have. I look through probably quite literally 500 to 1,000 charts. Those are my 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, to build financial models. And it's tough. It's tough. But maybe. We'll leave it at that. Maybe. I tend to be on a very strict, regimented schedule. Like I'm trying to have, in 2023, I'm trying to have literally every second of my day accounted for. So no white space. Any white space needs to be filled with something to maximize productivity. But I'll give it a go. I'm going to try as hard as I can. A lot of people have been saying that. They're like, we want streams during the day. We'll see. Okay, we are approaching Washington Square Park again. But I'll take you guys quickly to the Stern building. Now, for those of you who are new, I have a recommendation, okay? So if you're interested in learning, I would say very, very deep, fundamental analysis, right? Check out Professor Damodaran. He teaches right here over at the left, or the right. And he's considered the dean of valuation. So Professor Aswat Damodaran. And he has a free YouTube channel where he's actually so kind to upload a lot of his lectures that he gives at the Stern School of Business for free. So if you're interested in learning how to build discounted cash flow models, understand how to read a balance sheet, a cash flow statement, and do things the appropriate way, check him out. Also, another quick tip, if you go to Amazon used books, you could actually purchase his textbook for like $7. It's probably the best return on investment you're ever going to get. Now, the book is called Valuation by Damodaran. If it's new, it's going to be like $100, but just get it used. It's like $7. It's an awesome book to have in your library, and you're going to learn a ton. Nina says, how do you spell the name? So I don't know how to spell it, but it's spelled exactly like it sounds, right? So just type in on Google, NYU Stern School of Business, Damodaran. And he always makes appearances on Bloomberg, CNBC, all of the major financial channels. And he teaches right here. Yeah, Doctor Strange, that's another one. The Little Book of Valuation, that is another good book by Damodaran. And I think it's very important to start here. And the reason why I say that is because, a lot of retail investors, they come into investing sort of blindsided, and they think that investing is all about generating your ideas off of Reddit and meme stocks and all this nonsense. But if you actually want to learn how to evaluate a company appropriately, to read a balance sheet, how to sort of make sense of all these, financial reportings and how to build your models, all of this stuff is available to you for free, or pretty much near free. And these are some of the top professors in the world that teach at some of the top business schools in the world, such as the one we're standing outside of right now. Now, additionally, I'd say this. Here's something that's actually quite exciting. Now, Damodaran teaches two very, very famous courses. They are very sought after, and the classes fill up almost immediately. Number one is corporate finance by DeModern. He teaches it right here. And number two is securities analysis. Okay. And the good news is this. If you don't have the money to go to NYU, right, and take those courses, after much request, this is a great shot of the empire. After much request, NYU is actually offering those two individual courses online. Now, you won't get any college credit for them, but you will get a certificate for completing those courses. And those are the exact courses that are the two that always sell out, right? They're online, they're not in person, but look, if you have the $1,800 or whatever it is, and you're really serious about finance, and I think it could really increase your skills. Right, let's say if you work in management consulting, if you work in investment banking, or even if you're just a business owner looking for interesting and different ways how to increase your skill set, I think it's worth the investment. However, if you don't have the money to buy the course and get the certificate, just go to his YouTube channel. If you go to his YouTube channel, he literally uploads all of the lectures for free. So you can study it, learn the material, all for free. You just won't get the piece of paper. So I think it is very critical that if you want to increase your skill set, take it. It's free. Might as well. Hey, have a good night. Ren 10 is like, Tom, we want streams from 8 a.m. until midnight every night. Palmettis, I agree. Melda's here. Hey, War Walker, good to see you. Lawrence says, what do you think of Arizona State Business School? I'm sure it's great. I don't really know anything about it, but I'm sure it's great. Nothing wrong with continuing your education. Now, I will say this. I think if you are interested, I didn't go to business school, by the way. But I think if I ever worked for an employer that would pay for me to go to business school, I would do it in a heartbeat. And many employers will do that. Many employers will actually do tuition reimbursement and pay for you to continue your education. I think that's really great. Michael Joseph, I know. Hilarious. Hey, Travel Niece, this is Tom. Thank you for all the great info. I'm going to New York City in the fall. That's going to be great. New York City is fantastic in the fall. I think you're really going to like it. Yeah, Melissa White, that's true too. The military will pay for your education and pay for all your college. I think that's great. Robert says, which business school would you go to, Tom? Now, I don't think I would ever get accepted into business school, but if I had a choice and I would automatically get accepted, that's a good question. I just don't have any of the credentials, the grades to get in. But if I did, where would I go? I think I'd go to Harvard Business School. But then again, maybe Stern, since it's right here. I don't know. Susanna Q4 says Fordham. Interesting.
You only work 2 shifts, brunch.
Ooh, Robert, MIT. Yeah, that's another good one. There's so many great business schools. I think if I had the choice to go to anyone. Ooh, someone said Wharton. Michael Josephs is Stern, Wharton. Yeah, Wharton's another really, really good business school. I don't know. I think maybe I'd stick with Harvard Business School or NYU Stern, just because of the close proximity and they're very well respected. Jeff W277 says I went to U of M Ross. Meld says I did 2 semesters of an MBA, but accounting did my head in. Yeah. Nina says USC business is great as well. I mean, you never know. I mean, you could go back to business school any time in your life. I'll never say never. You never know. You never know. Look at this place. I'm assuming it's a very swanky soap place. I bet the soap's in there like $80. We were talking about Bed Bath & Beyond filing for bankruptcy, or debating on filing for bankruptcy. Oh, Brian says I went to the University of California. Awesome, man. I mean, if you look at the most successful, a lot of the big successful titans on Wall Street, they all tend to come out of these very, very elite business schools, right? So it's definitely a good idea, especially, if you want to take that route, right? Let's say if you work in investment banking or even management consulting too. If you work at a big consulting company, they probably will sponsor you. Or let's say if you go work at a boutique investment bank, they'll actually probably sponsor you to go get your education. I think it's worth it. Nina says UC Irvine. Team, we've already been streaming for 2 hours. Where did the time go? Time flies when you're having fun. I'll take you guys back to Penn Station. Look at this Panera bread here. Oh, this is so interesting. Look, Panera bread to go. So this is a to-go only Panera bread. There's no inside seating. And you order on kiosks. Talk about disruption. This is such an interesting segue, because almost the entire night we were talking about disruption. And there's probably only cooks here, right? There's probably only cooks. There's no cashiers. These little tablets have replaced humans. You could probably order right here. You hang out. You sit down, have a cup of coffee. They put your stuff right there. You take it and you go. And then you could track your order right here. This is the future. Now they're building a lot of these to-go Starbucks stores, I've noticed too, for people that are in a Go. Also the Amazon Go stores. Has anybody ever shopped at one of those Amazon Go stores before? Now, I haven't ever shopped at one, but those things are crazy. Hold on. Those things are wild, man. All you do is you just walk in, you grab the stuff you want, and you walk out. And automatically, they know what you bought and they charge your Amazon account. That's crazy. That's crazy. Keith, this is in Japan. They are experimenting with robot waiters. It's funny you mentioned that. Back in the day, I was working on, well, not directly, but I was working on a deal to, like an IoT, an Internet of Things deal with SoftBank to put like SIM cards to connect internet access to their robot called Pepper. Now look this up if you don't know what it is, but the robot, it's a SoftBank robot. It's called Pepper, and I don't know if they discontinued it or not. This was, I think, 2018, but Pepper is a robot, and they were going to use it at all of the airports all over the world and replace customer service. So instead of talking to a customer service person, you could just talk to this robot Pepper, and it would tell you where to go, it would tell you where your flight's going to go, and they were also going to open bars and have the robot, take your order, make the drinks. Kind of interesting. Really? Vivian says Chipotle has a pepper in it? Does it really? I've never seen. Wow, that's cool. Michael Joseph says Amazon Go. When I walked out of the one in Manhattan, I felt like it was theft. Hilarious. LL says Kellogg Business School. Can we get a quick time check in the chat? I just want to make sure we are on time getting back to the train station. (11:02). Perfect timing. Perfect timing, friends.
No, I know all this.
Look at the moon. Just went behind the clouds. D says, is the train 24/7 in New York? It is. So the train is 24/7, but the Long Island Railroad, it usually runs, once every hour, depending. And then after midnight, it usually goes 2 hours. So usually if I miss the train, it's not a good look. So now, speaking of robots, check out McDonald's. I've noticed more and more McDonald's with these kiosks. So you really don't even need cashiers anymore. You order right there, you pay right there with the robot, sends your order to the kitchen in the back, and you're good to go. Now, here's something else that's really interesting about that. Because I noticed this, and I have a buddy who actually helps program the software. Hold on. Who works on software for a lot of these kiosks. Now, I'll give you a scenario of what happened to me, and as you guys know, my background is in tech sales, right? That's what I do for a career. And I can tell you with certainty, when you're talking about fast food QSR, right? And QSR stands for a quick service restaurant. And every time, without fail, a robot will always generate more revenue than a physical person behind the counter at Burger King or McDonald's, and I'll tell you why. Next time anybody goes to McDonald's and orders on those specific kiosks, really remember and pay very, very close attention to your ordering process, right? So it'll usually go something like this. You order your food, okay? Then when you go to the checkout, it just doesn't let you check out. You ever notice that? Once you click checkout, it has a big pop-up screen. And it says, would you like to add a dessert? And it shows a picture of cookies, it shows a picture of a McFlurry, it shows a picture of another item. It always asks you, the customer, Do you want something else? Are you sure you want to check out right now? Do you want an ice cream to go with that? And not everybody is going to say yes, but there's probably about 25% of people who are going to get ice cream or cookies or something else. Now think back to an experience you've had ordering at McDonald's or Burger King with a physical breathing human being. Do they usually just take your order and that's it? Or do they say, hey, are you sure you don't want cookies? Are you sure you don't want ice cream? They never do that, right? So think about all of the incremental revenue, right? And the margin growth they could drive by a robot. Because here's the difference between a human and a robot, right? And again, this is more specific towards, I would say, retail sales as opposed to business sales. Look at all these treadmills here. Because a robot never forgets to ask. The robot will ask every single person, right? The human, they may ask 20% of the time and then they get tired. But the robot will hammer you and ask you every time. So at a company like a quick service restaurant, McDonald's, mobile order and pay services drive tons more revenue and drive increased profit margins for the business because the products that they recommend you tend to have higher gross margins. Has anybody noticed that? Yeah, John just makes you wonder. Nina says yes. Matthew M. This walk and talk is ahead of its time. AI is the future. Look at these two dogs, beautiful. Lawrence says I want a McFlurry. Now, I think it's different when you're talking about business sales, right? Because I would say retail sales is more transactional. And the more transactional a sale is, the increased likelihood that an algorithm or a machine can be programmed to do it much better, right? So think about friction, right? Think about the friction of the sale and think about building a programmable algorithm to ask a consumer and inadvertently, or I would say you're doing it on purpose, I would say subconsciously steering the consumer in the appropriate direction towards buying higher margin products. That's what they do. Hey, B. Smith, what's up? Penelope says computers are just as annoying. All right, we are now officially back in the Flatiron District. Looking at the beautiful Empire State Building. This is one of my favorite spots in the city. Yeah, Timothy says maybe robots can fix the ice cream machine. Maybe they can. All right, I'm going to take you guys back to the Moynihan train station. But I think we had a good conversation tonight. We covered a lot of material. We are now well into Walks on Wall Street after hour territory. But we covered a lot. And I appreciate everybody for the conversation. I definitely learned a lot tonight. I got to give you guys a shot of the Flatiron building. Hey, 45, what's up? Hope you're well in Canada. Now, I will tell you guys, I am really, really looking forward to next week because I'm just starting to get the classic New York seasonal, I wouldn't go as far to say as seasonal depression, but, you know, waking up every day and it's that New York classic, you know, Long Island gray sky. It's like every day. So I'm excited for next week. We will be back in Miami for a few weeks. I'm excited to be in the sunshine. We're going to check out the investment property. I think I'm actually going to start shooting some videos in and around the business there, just so we can keep tabs on it. And maybe I could even get feedback from people who do run, you know, investment property, short-term rentals. I think it'd be a good way for us to connect there. But I'm excited. So I'll be back next week. I'll be back in Miami. I will be going to Hollywood, Florida, which is very close to, I shouldn't say super close, but close enough to where I live. So maybe we will be doing some live streams from Hollywood. We'll see. Who knows? Yeah, Michael Joseph says, I feel you, Tom. New York City has been abnormally gray skies for 90% of December. We had like 2 sunny days. Yesterday was like kind of sunny. Not really, but Matthew M says, take us to the Guitar Hotel. Looks cool. I'm going to be right around there. I'm actually going to be right around there. So is Hollywood, Florida, which county is that for all of our Floridians? That's not Miami-Dade, right? That's Broward all the way up there? Hollywood, Florida? Hey, Timothy Hunt says, enjoy the rest of your night, everybody. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Timothy. I appreciate it. Shutter says it's Broward County. Vivian says Broward. E. Smith, Broward. Copy that. Okay. Paulette says, happy Tuesday, Tom. I'm just getting over being sick. Hopefully you feel better soon. Thank you, Paulette, for joining us tonight. Yeah, that limo is always there without fail. Somebody says the limo is a waste of energy. I think limos are outdated now, aren't they? Limos, to me, I look at a limo, I'm like, it's kind of tacky, right? Does anybody else agree with that? I feel like limos are like 1990s. Yeah, Evan Weeks is very. Dan Zhang, I do very much miss the Chinese food in Chinatown when I'm in Miami, very much. Yeah, Nina's is thing of the past. Yeah, Dusty calls like hilarious. They are. It's just, they remind me of, I'm watching like an old movie from 1995. Now, this is the new Ritz-Carlton. I'd like to be able to gain access to that building, take a look around, check out the lobby. Hey, Roberto, what's up? Cindy Foley, good to see you, Cindy. This is Tom skateboarding. Maybe we'll have to break it out when we're down there. Look at this view of the Empire. Okay, everybody, we'll do the quick recap and then we'll cut you guys loose. because we are back to the Moynihan train station pretty much. We talked about the Federal Reserve tonight. We talked about Fed Chair Jerome Powell's speech. We talked about layoffs at Coinbase. We did a little bit of a preview of the inflation numbers we're supposed to be getting out on Thursday. We talked about Wells Fargo is now completely getting out of the mortgage market, which is a big surprise. We'll probably find out more on Friday. I think they report earnings on Friday. We did a little bit of a preview into Q4 earnings for the major banks, major financials. We talked about housing, and we talked about robotics and AI. I think it was a very productive conversation, so I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight on Walks on Wall Street. We will be back live tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you've enjoyed the live stream, feel free to leave a like on the video. Please subscribe if you are new. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers about it. And we will see you all tomorrow. Have a great middle of the week. So Gary Carpenter, Steph UH, Patrick New York, Vivian, thank you so much, Matthew M, Sabrina Fair, Alexis Garcia, the one and only War Walker, thank you. Nina, Joseph Hardaway, Bree Grams, Law, Evan Weeks, thank you so much, Evan Weeks. Robert, Patrick New York, Mike C, Brandy, Austin City Limits, Blue Cat 831, Lizzie, Abdullah, Dusty Cole, Muhammad, Dallas F, Dr. Longest, Hawaii 45. And to the Mighty Bull, have a good night wherever you are, because there is always a bull market somewhere, and you just need to know where to look. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Theo, thank you so much. Bye for now.